thank you again, the President and members of the executive of the National Ramleela Council of Trinidad and Tobago, distinguished guests, both international and local, brothers and sisters. Tonight, I speak on Ramleela, a story that transcends time and space. I will speak on issues that are not normally addressed in discussions on Ramleela, with some comparative views, India and Trinidad. Ramleela is the folk rendering of the epic story of the pre-Christian era, the Ramayana, as told by sage Valmiki. It tells of the life and the deeds of Prince Ram of Ayodhya in northern India. It contains approximately 84 kathas or stories, sub-stories. There's a main storyline that goes in detours, and with all these 84 kathas, it meanders back into the main storyline. But these 84 stories are told in 7 books. Balkan, that's Ram's birth, Ayodhya Khan, Aranya Khan, Kishkinda Khan, Sundar Khan, Lanka or Yud Khan, and Uttarakhand. These books tell of Ram's birth, his education, his training. Next slide. His training, his marriage, okay, right there. His exile and battles. The final being with King Ravan to release his abducted wife Sita. It ends with the reign of Ram in Ayodhya. We go into Maryada Purushottama, the next slide. Ram is called Maryada Purushottama, the first man among men, the ideal man, teaching the society on how to live an ideal life with moral and ethical values as a son, as a brother, as a husband, as a leader, as a warrior, and then as king governing his kingdom. First narrated in Sanskrit by Valmiki, that's the Ramayana. Then told over the millennia. There is still a great guess as to how long the story has been existing. It is said that Ram was born in the Treta Yuga, that is more than hundreds of thousands of years. But it is also said that Valmiki got the story about 5,000 years ago and wrote it. So we really don't know. But the story first was told of Ram as Maryada Purushottama, the ideal man. So it was narrated in Sanskrit and then told over the millennium by various writers in various languages, more than 25 languages, in Sanskrit, Hindi, Urdu, in Thailand, there's an Ayodhya. And I remember at a conference in India, the professor from Thailand, when he came to the Second World Conference, we have already talked about the first, in Delhi at the National Academy for the Performing Arts, IGNCA, that's Indira Gandhi National Academy. This professor in Thailand said, I never knew Ram was born in India, you know. For us in Thailand, Ram was born in Ayodhya, and that's what we know about. Right? So it was a revelation for him that Ram was supposed to have been born in India. It's written in Sanskrit, in Hindi, Urdu, Thai, Indonesian, Tamil, Telugu, Oriya, Nepalese, Bhojpuri, Magadhi, and of course, now it has been written in dialectic and spoken in dialectic Indo-Caribbean dialects. In fact, it is narrated in the major language plus the languages of the countries in which it has been planted and rooted. So in Fiji, in Guyana, in Suriname, there is Ram's story in Mauritius, but not Ramleela. right? So, Guyana, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago. Local Ramleelas use the script of Tulsidas Ramcharit Manas, which means the holy lake of the acts of Ram. And that was written between 1574 and 1577. And it was written in Awadhi, a script, the language of the common man. Now, up to the 10th century, Ram was Maryada Purushottama, the ideal man. From the 10th century, from the Kamban Ramayana going down, we start seeing Ram becoming more and more the divinity being spoken of. And by Tulsidas' 16th century, Ram was made full God on earth. I've just read a book which is really very interesting, written in India, very well researched, and the book is entitled Ram Before He Was God. So Ramleela was brought here and planted in this soil by Indian immigrants who arrived to save our failing economy. Documented evidence, however, indicates that the Ramleela was staged in 1882 in an opening in the Sea of Cane in Dow Village, California, in central Trinidad. Now, on the audiences of Ramleela, there are over 35 active performing Ramleela groups. There may be 39 registered, as I heard last night. But collectively, they bring 1,500 artists annually to perform, between 1,500 and 2,000. The audiences range from 250,000 to 300,000 annually. So when we talk about any other festival in this country, Ramleela is next only to Carnival, right? In terms of numbers, in terms of costuming, in terms of audience participation. You would see on the slide all the Ramleelas where they are in Trinidad. Again, you think we can expand it if you can, so that the audience can see where the 35 Ramleelas are. And in my new book, which is called Trinidad Ramleela, 100 Years of Felicity Ramleela, I've identified, thanks to Mr. Chamandat Maharaj, I got all the addresses, all the venues, and they are listed in an appendix in that book, right? So that the audiences come, they hear chanting, they hear music, they hear tassa drumming, they see acting, they change from audience to participants. Suddenly you're an audience, you participated in Aarti, and then when the Pandit says, Sri Ramachandra ki, everybody, the whole audience says Jai. So suddenly you have become a participant, right? And they become pilgrims. But I'll tell you about that too. They also get spiritual and religious sustenance. That is the audience. There's humor, there's satire, there's catharsis, there's epiphany, there's synthesis, there's entertainment. Entertainment on the periphery, local food, drinks, meeting friends, exhibiting fashion. They wear Indian Western fashions in clothing, and they gossip. Oh, there's a lot of village gossip. Many people find their spouses in Ramleela. So it is getting together. Today, Ramleela is performed throughout the country. As we said, this is the map. Now, the layout of the Maidan. And I'm comparing now Maidans. Now, there are two kinds of Ramleela. There's the Maidan Ramleela, which is the village open air Savannah Ramleela. And then there's the Manch Ramleela. The Maidan is open air, as you would see. This is a Maidan, a drawing of when I went to India from 2007 to 2010 doing research for my PhD, as you have indicated, as the Madam Chairman indicated. I did a whole chapter on Ramleela, and I compared Ramleela in Trinidad with Ramleela in a place where Indians came from, a place called Faizabad. Faizabad is about 5 to 6 kilometers from Ayodhya and is about 120 kilometers from Lucknow, the capital of Uttar Pradesh. So this is how that Maidan looked. And that is the Ram Janki Mandir Ramleela. If you notice, it's east-west. Ayodhya is on the west and Lanka is on the east. The food stalls are around and the performance spaces are on a road, a paved road. They block off the road and there are houses on both sides. So people look from their houses, their balconies, and all along the road. The Ramleela runs for 15 days. It runs from about 8 o'clock right until 10, 11 in the night for 15 days during the month of Ashwin. And we are in Ashwin. It started yesterday. Ramleela would have started yesterday. Kamal, thanks for taking that advice and shifting this to Ashwin, this date. And it goes, so we have the first one. The next slide. Next slide, Arjun, Dinesh. You would see it runs now in India, east-west, but there's also north-south. It runs here in Trinidad. Basically, the playground, the Maidan is always oval, almost elongated, elliptical. And north is Ayodhya, right? And south is Lanka. Now, northeast is where the Pandit sits or stands up on his Singh Asan. Singh Asan. Singh means lion, and Asan means the seat. So when you sit on that Singh Asan, you speak as clear and brave as a lion. So that's why these narrators, these Pandits, these what we call Sutadhars or Kathakars, they really must speak the truth. And then you have entertainment on the periphery. And then, of course, there's a pavilion for Tasa drummers. So that this elliptical oval shape shifts in every Maidan Ramleela in Trinidad. And you see the same thing in various places. In the Sangre Chiquito Ramleela, which I saw first between 56 and 61, 1961, this is how it was, right? And they had brought truckloads of people from Pinal to act in this Ramleela in Sangre Chiquito. So I've tried to look at it. Now, there are also stages which are the Munch. You have double stage. You also have April stage. Then you have proscenium stage with curtains on the side. And you have, like in Sangre Grande, you have a stage in the middle, which is Munch, and then around it, there's also another stage. So Trinidadians are very, very, what you call, they can change things as they want, and it makes for good theater. So we move on. We talked about the layout of the Maidan, the stage direction. Trinidad is, Faizabad in India is east-west. Trinidad is north-south. And of course, always in Ayodhya, you have the red side. That has become typical of Ramleela. Those people in red belong to Ram's side, and those in black belong to Ravan. A very interesting thing about the Ramleela, when it begins in the evening after the Aarti, both the red side and the black side, they make what you call a parikrama around the performance stage. And the parikrama that is going around is always done in an anti-clockwise direction, right? So that now that has a lot to do with physics. and the world moving on its axis, planet Earth moving on its axis in an anti-clockwise direction. So you're aligning yourself. Now, in between, there are hermitage palaces, the Singhasan of the Kathakar. It was also the same direction of San Michikido, I said that already. Then the musicians' pavilion, there are food courts and the area of entertainment and parking zones. Now, technology in your mind. Next slide. Technology, we have embraced technology in the Caribbean. There's a lot of technology in the various mines I saw in India, but the Caribbean represents a Caribbean kind of technology. This one you are seeing is a flying Hanuman in Suriname. He's flying across the savannah, the performing area. But there's also a flying Hanuman in South Trinidad, in Avocat, I'm told. Is it? I haven't seen it yet. Right? So that you have this flying Hanuman. In Faizabad, in India, Ram and Lakshman don't walk. They arrive on wooden horses on wheels. The horses are pulled on wheels. So they mount their horses and they come to the performance area. In Trinidad, the actors arrive on foot. The bows are wrapped. Now their bows, next slide. Now the technology. On your left, you are seeing the battle. And one of the actors, right, from the Ayodhya, Faizabad, is blowing fire into the air against those of Ram's side, right, the Ayodhya side. In Trinidad, you would see this in the carnival. The devils do this. Right. But when I came back, I discussed it with Felicity Ramleela, and they have started doing it. They're using fire a lot in this way. But look at the other side. Hanuman burns Lanka, and they're actually playing with fire. Right? So some things we have held, and some things the technologies have moved. Right? Next slide. You see it? Look at the costuming. Look at the bows. The bows are wrapped, or they're covered with shiny reflective paper to catch the lights. So too are the breastplates and the costumes. Right? Next slide. Styrofoam is used a lot, and everybody would know that styrofoam is used for the animals, the horses, the golden deer, Jatayu. They use it. And then Borokit, Sumeri, the animals that make up the Panchavati scene. Next slide. Battle scenes. Faizabad. Well, they blow, we've just seen that, they blow fire with their mouths. Hanuman burns Lanka. We've just seen that with cloth. Technology changes. They're projectiles. In Trinidad, there is a lot of fireworks. Even the burning of Ravana is done by fireworks. So costumes are done to catch light. Journeys. Next slide. Take the one back on Hanuman.
That was the end of the slideshow.
Okay. Now, journeys are an integral part of Ramleela. The story travels for long distances through geographic regions of India and Sri Lanka. After the war in Lanka, Ram and his entourage travel back to Ayodhya. They are traveling in Faizabad. They make the whole round in the night in Faizabad. But guess what? They have decorated a farm tractor, like a full moving vehicle, right? And in Trinidad, they travel on foot around the village. audiences, the interesting thing in our Ramleela, when there were initially audiences, now those audiences are going behind Ram, they become pilgrims. They're following the entourage. They are converted to Ram's faithful devotees. They are now citizens of Ayodhya. Present time has become ancient time. Ancient time has become present time. Physical space becomes sacred space where Ram walks, consecrated space. It is energized ground. Ramleela is a beehive of activity, village activities where the young are mentored by the old, where there's succession planning and village commerce. It is a catalyst of community development. The festival is constantly repainting the local environment, giving it an Indo-Trinidadian aesthetic look. It is a mela, a great jamela. Those who know that word, jamela, which is really a carnivalous happening of happy confusion and exciting fusion. Who could miss this annual festival? It is an integral part of Caribbean culture, especially Southern Caribbean culture. It is here to stay in Trinidad. I have followed Ramleela for over 50 years. I have researched, as Kamal has said. I have performed the entire Ramleela in balletic form, Ram Katha. Now that we have finished, I have prepared the master plan for the National Ramleela Council of Trinidad and Tobago for Ramleela Heritage Site in Cuba. Right? My book should be out so that this book goes from Ramleela or the Ram story in India, how it moved out of India, how it moved into the Caribbean, how it is moving out of the Caribbean back, various aspects of it. I want to thank the National Ramleela Council of Trinidad and Tobago for including me in this, their first virtual annual Ramleela activities. I want to thank you, the audience, for your time. And I want to indicate to the National Ramleela Council, if you need my assistance to finish your book, I would help you. Right? Jai Sri Ram. Thank you.